Because when I was doing marketing, I was looking at these administrators. I was sort of admiring them that this is such a big executive position, big responsibility.
Yes.
Because there are two leaders in the facility, right? The
Yes.
administrator and the DON.
The day one.
Most most DONs they don't get thrown into being a DON. They rise the ranks. They start as treatment nurse, charge nurse. They
Yes.
become supervisors. They become MDS, and then ADON, and then
Right.
eventually DON. That could be a timeline of, let's say,
10 years?
5 years,
Oh, 5 years.
7 years, 10 years, 15 years. So you have experience. The biggest challenge I faced when I was a new administrator, a lot of administrators, we come from school. After graduating from school, you go straight to a nursing home and do the AIT program. They see you as an outsider, a kid who just graduated from school, and here you are. We're supposed to follow you. When I came in, I was tested a lot. Who's this young outsider who's experienced in marketing? What do you know about running a facility?
Welcome to the APA podcast. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Carlo Munoz. Carlo started his career as a talented actor and commercial model in the Philippines. But when he and his wife made the bold decision to migrate to the United States at the dawn of the millennium, siguro mga early 2002, but we'll ask him, he faced the challenge of reinventing himself. Carlo successfully transitioned into the healthcare industry, initially working as a business development liaison for American Professional Ambulance, probably the best ambulance company in Southern California. After years of dedication, he fully embraced this new path and eventually became an administrator for a skilled nursing facility in Southern California. In this episode, Carlo shares his inspiring journey and valuable insights on achieving success in the healthcare field. Now join me and Jonathan Buencamino as we welcome our good friend, Mr. Carlo Munoz. Yay!
Yay!
Buti na lang,
Yun!
buti na lang taping. Bumati ka muna, Carlo.
Hi, how are you? Good evening to everyone. Excited to be here.
Antipid mo naman bumati. O, isama na natin, of course, our co-host, masigabong palakpakan, Mr. Jonathan Buencamino.
Hi sa inyo lahat. Co-host, hindi ako madaldal. Wala akong matatanong.
Hindi ka naman, may matatanong ka. Unang-una, Carlo, thank you for doing this. It's a brand new podcast that
Oo,
we're
salamat.
doing. So marami pa kami
It's an honor.
mga hiccups. But APA, we're all connected. Sinimulan mo, pero ano to tag team to eh. Ako, basically, sa mga hindi nakakaalam, sa mga nanonood at nakikinig, you are basically my grandfather. Because you went in there first, and then you brought in, who did you bring in?
Jonathan.
Ako.
Jonathan.
Yeah, kaya malaking pasalamat ka dyan kay Carlo eh. Yan.
And then Jonathan brought me in. So, 3 generations. But we'll start with you, because I remember when we all started in the States, when you were doing this. Akala ko, I actually thought it was going to be a passing stage among the three of us. But eventually, all three of us found a career in healthcare. You specifically brought it to another level. What was going through your head? Why did it happen? And the reason why we want to talk about that is because it's important what you will share for people who are listening and watching, because they might be at the crossroads of their career. We don't know. So what was it for you? What made it special?
I think the fact that there was an opportunity to elevate myself sa field ng healthcare. Kasi we all started as in marketing, right? In
Yes.
sales and marketing. And actually, I brought in Jonathan kasi I was on my way out of the ambulance company Dahil nga nag-AIT na ako noon, I thought,
What's
okay, I have to
AIT
find somebody.
to people who are not familiar?
So AIT is the path to becoming a licensed administrator. So you do the AIT program in a nursing home for 1,000 hours, mostly free. You're
Oh my
not get
God.
you don't you're not paid for that 1,000 hours until you get the chance to take all the exams, and then once you pass all the exams, magiging licensed administrator ka na.
And then
That's
when you
just the start.
okay, when you become an licensed administrator, you are not an administrator of a building yet, right? You're just a licensed administrator.
Yes, that's correct. You get to have a license. You get to practice as a licensed administrator, because it's a state of California. There's actually two licenses in the state of California. One is issued by the state, and one is issued by the federal government, by the board. Kasi ang California ang strictest state of all states, 50 states in the nation when it comes to regulations nursing homes. So it's pretty difficult to get the license, and then to run a facility, that's a different conversation too.
So the sacrifices that you had to take, because Jonathan and I would talk about it, and I would tell Jonathan, why didn't you go the path of being an administrator? And he was like, 1,000 hours, but you, as a family man. That was mostly free for those 1,000 hours. What were the sacrifices you had to take in order to pursue that?
So I was basically working 12 to 16 hours a day for that first 1,000 hours, kasi I was doing ambulance in the morning, ambulance work, and then after the day's done, I go straight to the nursing facility that I was doing AIT. So from maybe 4 or 5 in the afternoon until up to 10 or midnight sometimes, I would stay in the facility. And ang nursing facility, it operates 24/7. So
Yes.
you won't run out of things to do. So whatever you miss during the day, you can do a lot of stuff at midnight, kasi people are still working awake.
But at that time, during that time, you had kids that were growing.
Yes, my kids. I had 2 kids that are toddlers back then. Tapos my wife was pregnant on 3rd.
Right.
So my father-in-law actually told me, I think this is not the right time to do this.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Like detractors, when people discourage you from doing it.
Yeah.
What's
Because
the
he was
mindset?
he was a healthcare professional too, in a different country, and he's also in admin. He told me, this is not the right time. You have 2 small kids and a pregnant wife. You're gonna be out in the field for 12, 16 hours. Sino kasama niya sa bahay, right?
Sino nga?
Yung dalawang bata.
Ganun na
So
nga
I
yun.
told him, if I don't do this now, I'm never gonna do it. So I have to do it. And we figured, we did the calculation. If I did it full time, I can finish it. I can knock it out in 6 months. Right.
So when you knocked it out in 6 months, first you knocked up your wife, then you wanted to knock this out in 6 months. Did Enid give birth before you finished the 1,000 hours, or did you finish the 1,000 hours before she gave birth?
So it kind of happened. I was kind of blessed that things worked out the way it did. When I was doing the training, because I was doing the training, she actually was pregnant. But when you do the training, when you finish your hours, you basically take the exams at your own pace. You don't necessarily have to take the exams right away.
Right.
Yeah, they give you time. But fortunately, when I was in the middle of my 1,000 hours, because I was doing it for a big corporation, a big company back then, their other building had an opening for an assistant administrator.
Oh yeah.
So I was able to get in. So it kind of worked in my favor, because I was doing training and I was also hired. That's when I totally left the ambulance company 100%. Hindi na akong trabaho. I just focused on being an assistant administrator. I was hired then. Maybe this happened on the 5th or closing months na nung training ko. So I was already hired, and then I basically took the exams at my own pace.
You had a good mentor,
Hanggang
no?
makuha ko yung license.
You had a good preceptor.
Yes, she was in a building in Hollywood.
Mhm.
And then when I was hired in the other facility, I there was another mentor that taught me really well. But basically, ang pagiging administrator is self-taught rin eh. It's you don't actually become a good administrator after during the AIT training, because you're all operating in theory. You're just observing, but you're not really running or making decisions for the facility. You're sort of in the background. You don't learn until you're the one that's in charge,
Let's talk about that.
and that's yeah,
Because
sure.
being in charge, like that's one thing. Jonathan, that's one of the reasons why you're like, okay, to be an administrator, I have to do stand-up meetings. I have to speak in English.
Yeah, yun ang pinaka-ayaw ko, yung magsasalita eh. So, sabi ko, hindi ako pwede dyan. Dito na lang ako.
But in your case, Carlo,
You know?
I mean, running a family is one thing. Running a building that has a nursing staff, egos, patients, family members, everything else. What was going through your head? Was it just money? Was it challenge? Was it a combination of both? Why didn't you just sell insurance?
Combination of both, actually. Because when I was doing marketing, I we had katayo. When you're
Yeah.
doing marketing, you have administrator friends,
Yes.
diba? And at some point when I was doing marketing, I was looking at these administrators. I was sort of admiring them, that this is such a big executive position, big responsibility.
Yes.
These guys must have like a very high education. Turns out you don't have to have higher education, a super high education. You just have to have a bachelor's degree. And then, or if you don't have that, if you have a 10-year experience in a nursing home as a supervisor, you are qualified to do the
Wow.
AIT program. But it's really difficult. The exams are really difficult. They don't make it easy for you.
Talk about the decision making you have to make, because one
Yeah.
thing that
So
the one thing that we have
yeah.
is critical thinking, eh, diba? But not everybody has that. That's very important in your field of work, especially as a nurse, as an administrator. Critical thinking is very important because you're playing with people's lives. You can't
Yes.
mess it up. You're dealing with people's lives.
Mhm.
So, what's the mindset going in?
So the decisions that affect patients, it's not really that hard to make, because they companies have guidelines that you can follow. When you're stuck in a situation, you know what to do. There's guidelines to follow to make
Right.
that decision. The biggest challenge I faced when I was a new administrator, because there are two leaders in the facility, right? The
Yes.
administrator and the DON.
The day one.
Most most DONs, they don't get thrown into being a DON. They rise the ranks. They start as treatment nurse, charge nurse. They
Yes.
become supervisors. They become MDS, and then ADON, and then
Right.
eventually DON. That could be a timeline of, let's say,
10 years?
5 years,
Oh, 5 years.
7 years, 10 years, 15 years. So you have experience. A lot of administrators, we come from school. After graduating from school, you go straight to a nursing home and do the AIT program. They see you as an outsider, a kid who just graduated from school, and here you are. We're supposed to follow you, right?
So
So
explain to me the challenges you
yeah,
had to face when you did that, when that happened
yeah.
to you.
When I came in, I was tested a lot. Who's this young outsider who's experienced in marketing? What do you know about running a facility? So I was tested. People testing you as far as yung how are you gonna take far how far you're gonna take them as far as disciplining somebody who doesn't come to work on time, who doesn't come in on stand-up meeting on time. There are sometimes na you have 13, 14, 15 members, mga department managers, and only 4, 5 will show up on time. They're really testing you. Okay, well, so what? I'm late. What are you gonna do about it?
What did you do
Right.
about it? So what did you do
Well,
about it?
first
Kasi
you sit them down.
you know what's so nice about this? Me and Jonathan witnessed your first year as an assistant administrator, especially me, because I would go to your facilities
Yeah.
in LA, and then eventually when you had the facility in Torrance, like I would visit you there with Ate Fe, di ba? And
Yeah.
as your
yeah.
DO. And what was it like? What was it like putting your foot down for the first time? And what was the conversation between you and your wife when you went home?
Oh, that's interesting. Kasi when you're an administrator in the healthcare, a healthcare executive and admin, you take all of the stress of the facility. When I come home, I try to shut that out. I don't bring that at home. Kasi only when it gets too tough, when I need to talk to someone. Kasi when you're in the facility as the executive decisioner, you kind of feel alone in that role sometimes.
Wow.
Kasi your decision sometimes will step on people's toes. May masasaktan. Whether yung taong nasasaktan mo is probably your biggest supporter in the facility, and that will happen. So it becomes tough. So I mean, that first night, I think one of the things that I said out loud was, "Did I? What did I get myself into?" But then eventually, I got used to being tested. And then one by one, you start talking to those people that are testing you, and you basically state the obvious. You'll tell them, I understand what you're trying to do. I understand I'm the new guy, I'm the young guy, I'm the outsider, but I still get to make decisions, basically. And my decisions could affect you professionally. So you're going to have to work with me no matter what, or the door is open. Nobody's forcing you to kind of stay here. Ganun lang. I put it as simple as that. State the obvious, and they come around.
Wow. So now, okay, eto, before we wrap things up, because of course our podcast is geared toward nurses, what are nursing traits that you are looking for as an administrator to run a successful facility, especially if someone watching or listening is about to graduate from nursing school, whether LVN, whether CNA, or whether BSN? What are you looking for?
Someone who joined or went to school for nursing to be a nurse, not to make money. There's money. Don't get me wrong, it's good money, but if that's what the only thing that you're looking for, you're probably gonna last 2 years, 3 years. You spent all that money in your BSN, your education, only to find out, oh, this is not for me. Because the money's there, but you have to earn it. Yeah, you can make 40, 50, 60, $70 an hour, but then you hate your job. You're not gonna last. You may be seeing that in your paycheck, pero you get home always questioning yourself, did I do the right thing? Am I in the right position? Am I doing the right thing? So if you're just in it for money, then it's not gonna last, or you're gonna end up doing paperwork.
Firing.
Actually, compare.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kung pera-pera lang, kawawa naman yung pasyente. Di ba?
Yeah.
Kung pera-pera lang.
That's
How about-
true. Kasi ang yun ang medyo nawawala, because as Filipinos, we like to kind of pass down the family what family profession, right?
Yeah.
I always tell applicants, yung mga licensed nurses that come in, I ask them, one of the things I ask them, did you take up nursing because you want it, or your mom or your dad put you, kind of convince you to do it, right? But if you like it, if you think it's a good profession, because one of my kids want to do it, he wants to be a nurse practitioner, so
Galing.
Are you gonna hire him?
Probably it'll take him some time. I don't know if kasi ang nurse practitioner role is expanding.
Parang,
Yeah, parang doktor na
parang
yun eh.
doctor na yun.
If
Parang
yeah,
doctor na yun.
so Texas it's already permitted. I think they operate as doctors. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But in California, it's expanding. There's more and more nurse practitioners working in the hospital.
Uh,
What
So,
stresses
as
you out?
doctors.
What stresses you?
Kasi I have my facility is a behavioral health facility.
Mm.
We can have 1 minute of peace, and next thing you know, chaos, right? So we just have to be on my toes. What makes me stress is when my phone rings on a Saturday at midnight.
I'm sorry.
You know it's
My
problem.
my phone, yeah, you know it's a problem when it rings. But nothing because I've been through a lot already. In different nursing facilities, not a lot of things stresses me out anymore. I mean, I've dealt with owners, I've dealt with family members, patients themselves. I've dealt with federal agents. I've dealt with
Oh my God.
DHS. I've dealt with the state, a lot of agencies. I've dealt with lawyers. So it's what stresses me out is the yung phone call. Kasi if you really want to be in this business for long, one thing that you should never forget is your dedication to the patient. If that's what you're in for, you're gonna stay long. So if you do right by the patient, you don't have to worry about anything. If you're not hurting the patient yourself, physically, financially, you should be proud of yourself. You don't have to worry. Yun naman ang hinahanap ng most people, patient themselves. Patients are the ones that are easiest to please. It's the family members and your employees are the ones that are hardest to please.
So let's wrap things up. Two questions, and Jonathan, if you want to chime in, feel free. What do you advise your fellow healthcare professionals to de-stress, and advice for people who are wanting to go into the position that you're in? What do they need to prepare for? And then we'll end it there. Again.
Jimmy?
Yeah. So, ikaw.
Me?
Of course. Ikaw ang bida namin.
So I have a hobby. Aside from family, I'm blessed with 3 boys that makes me busy because 2 are in sports. One wants to be an actor, and I'm married to a very beautiful wife. So that keeps me busy. When I'm with them, when I'm at home, that takes my mind off of the profession. And throughout the years, I've been able to build a strong team in the facility, so I'm not worried about them running the facility without me or while I'm not there, right? And then I have a hobby. That's what sort of de-stress. I have a hobby. I do precision rifle shooting. I make my own bullets, so every now and then I go to the range and it's a precision sport, so it's pretty quiet. I know it's funny. Rifles, guns, it should be loud,
Right.
but it de-stresses me. It gives me, it makes me focus on something else, not work.
And then, for people wanting to enter your world, what should they prepare for?
A hailstorm.
Oh my God.
I was about to say an S-storm. Because you
A
have
hailstorm.
to understand what you're getting yourself into. Especially as an administrator, you have to deal with everything and everyone.
Yeah.
But if you're a nurse, you're just going to be focused on taking care of patient, that's fine. But as an administrator, you're the executive decisioner, everything falls on you. You have to be ready for something that you're not ready for. Expect the worst.
Grabe. Well, Carlo, thank you very much. Jonathan, thank you very much.
Salamat.
A good 20
Thanks for
minutes.
having me.
Thanks for doing this. By the way, guys, if you
Yes,
haven't
thank you.
subscribed to our channel, please feel free to subscribe. Don't forget to like also. Don't forget to share this episode, lalo na yung mga fans ni Carlo Munoz.
Yeah.
And thank you, by
Yun
the
na,
way.
The
yun na.
nurse is there. I'm hiring.
Oh, yon.
Yeah.
We'll post a link in the description. Off cam, give me the information para I'll post it in the link in the description. That way,
Awesome.
they can call you guys or your HR
Awesome.
department. Thank you, Carlo. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.